What's up, everyone? Welcome to Sports Bluff. I am your host, Tristan Bunn, joined by my friend, my confidant, my fellow football fool, Ryan Lambert, a man we call the knee-jerk ninja. And I have to ask you a question, okay? Because I was thinking about this. You picked against Mahomes last year versus the Bengals. You picked against him in the Super Bowl versus the Eagles. You picked against him last week in Buffalo. You picked against him again today versus the Ravens. Have you learned your lesson? We must enjoy this moment. We must soak it in. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm actually just going to leave this here just for the rest of this little segment here, because I think everybody needs to know how sorry I am for picking against Mahomes. It's not ever done well for me, and
you weren't
for
alone.
Some reason it's like an addiction, you know? It's like I can't put it down.
Right.
I just can't stop.
I know.
Whether it's my Bills, whether it's what I thought was the best team in the NFL,
what everyone thought,
whether it's it could be everybody could be hurt on the team. It could be just the snapper, the center, and Mahomes and Kelce, and they would still find a way to win. I'm done.
Yeah.
This is my AA meeting, okay?
Yes.
I'm sober after today. I promise, America, this will never happen again. I will never doubt Patrick Mahomes or Andy Reid or the Chiefs. It's not going to happen again. I'm very sorry.
Not as
Congratulations,
long as he's there.
my friend, by the way.
Thank you.
I told you I wanted your team to win. If mine didn't, I stand by that. But
it happened.
The way it happened, oh boy.
But you know,
it wasn't. The thing is, it wasn't even like it was a close game. Like the score may have been closer than it felt, but it was really a defensive game for the most part.
It was, which I thought it was going to be a low-scoring game, and it started out. You were like, "Oh God, is this going to be a shootout?" And that changed quickly.
It really did. Look, the story of the game to me was, I know Patrick Mahomes made the Patrick Mahomes plays. Like that pass to Kelce when he was falling down on his knees and just floated the ball out there, and Kelce
in the end
somehow...
zone?
No.
The conversion. Okay.
It was the conversion. It was miraculous, and that's what Patrick Mahomes does. Not to take away from any of that. Obviously, we know that happened, and we know it was going to happen. Like, I had no doubt Patrick Mahomes was going to make Patrick Mahomes plays. But the story to me was the utter failure on Baltimore's defense. It wasn't the defense we saw throughout the year.
I actually kind of disagree with you, because they shut the Chiefs out in the second half. I feel like it's the offense. Like the Baltimore defense was rough in the first half, but I felt like, given the situation and what offense gave them, they did a good job.
Yeah, you're right. So the defense in the first half was the problem for the Ravens. Coming into the second half, well, really throughout the whole game, the Ravens' offense just looked shook. I mean, it was, and then the elephant in the room here is the penalties, right? It hurt. It's just, it looked very sloppy. It was the rookie mistakes. It was
dumb penalties. Like just the Zay Flowers taunting, the fighting, it got chippy, and it was just, it showed that they had a lack of experience in this moment, and they got down, and they weren't used to being down all year, and they got concerned.
Yeah. And the taunting penalty, by the way, I think I heard the penalty before I actually saw what happened. I think most people did. I was like, oh my gosh, here's one of those stupid taunting penalties that they call, and it's really just stupid because you point a finger at somebody. No, this guy was straight up, pushed him to the ground first. I think they would have let that slide. But
he did three things.
And then you get up, you stand over him, and then you spin the ball on top of his helmet.
Yeah.
That's a hat trick. Just, like, I'm surprised he didn't get up and just deck you in the face. Like,
right, and so that was Zay Flowers, and he's been great all year, and he made an impact in this game, but that was such a big mistake. And what's so interesting is that moment, too, is Snead messed up and gave up that big play, which he hasn't done all year. He's an all-pro player. And then when Zay Flowers gets the ball and he's reaching out to score, who causes the fumble? It's Snead. He forces the fumble out. Yep. That was the moment of the game, because if the Ravens get that, they're in it. They're down 3. It's the top of the fourth quarter. They got momentum, and the Chiefs defense stood up. The Ravens, despite how bad they were offensively, and despite how, bad Lamar played, he wasn't good. Okay, he played bad.
Yeah.
They had moments, and the Chiefs defense just kept refusing to let them in the end zone. It was that they caused the fumble on Zay Flowers when he was trying to score, and then Lamar threw a pick in the end zone. The defense of the Chiefs would not be denied.
Well, also that was the pick in the end zone near the end of the game was, I don't understand how he threw in triple coverage.
Yes,
I went back and watched, and there was no read there. I don't even understand what he was throwing to.
If he had put it at the very back of the end zone, like near the pylon, I would say, okay, he gave his guy a chance.
Maybe
he didn't.
But he also missed some like deep shots too, where he had because they were beating you guys on the deep routes. Like the secondary looked a little rough at times, but Lamar just couldn't get the ball there. He would
they were getting pressure.
Yeah. The commentator said he was overshooting it by 5 to 6 yards every time, and that's true. So I had said last week we're going to see what Lamar's truly made of. I think we saw it. I just don't think he's one of those big-time quarterbacks yet where you can rely on him like you can Patrick Mahomes and even Josh Allen to some extent to make these big plays and to win the game for their team.
Because at least in the games, in the matchups, Josh Allen plays great. Joe Burrow plays great. Lamar didn't play good. He tried to keep his team in it, and you said early on, I want to give you credit, I think you said it in the first quarter, Ryan. You said Lamar is not utilizing his legs at all. Like there are running lanes there. That really, to me, became one of the big stories by the end of the fourth quarter.
It was surprising.
When the Ravens went hurry up, he started using it a little more. It's like, where has this been all game?
I know. But there were several times where like you could see when it wasn't a blitz, which was kind of rare because they were sending. Spag is just, he's so good, man.
Because you can't let Lamar just sit there. Spag said, we're going to get after him and disrupt him.
But the times that they did not get through or get pressure through and lanes opened up where, because what the Chiefs said was, we're going to rush you, we're going to leave that middle of the field open, and then we're going to cover you deep.
Yep. They were giving him the underneath. They said, take it.
And he still couldn't do it. I mean, there were lanes, there were 8 to 10 yards at several points of the game where I was like, why didn't you just take the run? That's what you are.
I know.
I think he's overcompensated because everybody said he couldn't throw. I think he's overcompensated and slacked off on the running ability now.
He only had 8 carries all game.
I think somebody in his head just, throughout the offseason was saying, stay in the pocket, work the pocket, don't move out. Like, find the throwing lanes, throw somebody open, find the open receiver, let them get open. And I think it's kind of just bound him up. It's like there's an invisible fence there that he just can't run past.
No,
that's
mentioned
how it felt.
No. You make a good point because you mentioned it's almost like that's been coached into him. I think it has been to an extent because we've seen all year that he'll move, but he's moving to extend the pocket. And he's always looking to throw downfield, where in the past maybe he was looking to run. But we've still seen this year where he will take off, especially in the second half, when the game is just not going according to plan. You're down 17-7. I said at halftime they should be thanking the stars above they were only down 17-7. You know what I mean? It could have been way worse. And Lamar just never took the game over like you expected him to. And even though the Chiefs' offense didn't do anything in the second half except punt, that's literally it. They punted every possession in the second half. I felt like they were playing conservative offensively. Mahomes never was forcing it because they knew how good their defense was playing. Because go back to the very end of the game, when Mahomes had to have a first down, what does he do? He finds MVS for a 40-yard pass to finish the game. And I told you MVS was going to have a big catch this game.
What I'll say, and this will be the final thing I'll say, and you can gloat and glamour all you want. Kansas City had many things stacked against them. They had several, players out that were big-time players.
Yeah.
They don't have the best receiving core. They really just didn't match up on paper well to the Ravens.
No.
Everything they needed to go right tonight went right, including Patrick Mahomes' miracle abilities. Travis Kelce decided to not be old tonight.
He showed up in the playoffs.
Pacheco got going a little bit, good enough to extend the drives and to get Mahomes, a 3rd and 3 or something. The defense was and MVS made a catch.
Yeah.
Rashee Rice did amazing.
He was good.
Every catch he got, I think he caught. That wasn't behind him.
all but one.
And,
eight receptions on 9 targets. Yep.
Yeah, wasn't that the one that was a little bit behind him?
I think you're right.
And then the main thing for Kansas City that went right was the defense. That defense stood up and said, no, we are the best. I know everybody thought that the Ravens were the best. Tonight, we're going to show you that we're the best. Spags, he called a perfect game.
It was
when
amazing.
you talk about perfect games, you almost can't get better than this.
They held him to 10
up
points.
The formations. It was man. It was zone. It was blitz. It was blitz. It was blitz. It was man. Just all those formations thrown at Lamar. Lamar didn't know what to do. I mean, it looked like he was an amateur in the pocket at some point.
It absolutely did.
The way he moved the pocket was great, but the way he utilized it, not so much.
No, I agree.
And look, I think the defense for Kansas City is really the entire reason that you guys won this game.
It's so interesting because I feel like Lamar made a couple plays, but it just wasn't consistent enough. We saw when he had the throw and it was batted and he called it, I had flashbacks to the playoff loss to Marcus Mariota where he threw in a touchdown pass to himself. Look it up. It was one of the worst games ever. And when that happened, I for a second thought, oh dear God, are we going to lose? I agree with you 100% because the Chiefs' offense was shut down in the second half. I mean, Baltimore's defense, give them credit, they did a good job. But this has been the strength of the team all year. It's what I kept saying. It felt like everyone kept diminishing the accomplishments the Chiefs' defense had made, and they were one of the best in the league, and they proved it today. Baltimore has not just beaten every opponent they faced and all the good ones, they've blown them out. And the Chiefs made a statement. Patrick Mahomes knew the game plan and made just enough plays. They did what, after that Raiders loss, I said to you, they need to embrace their identity. They need to embrace who they should be. They've done that, and it has gotten them back in the Super Bowl. It's unbelievable.
Yep, it is. Can we wrap this up? This is getting a little heavy.
Sure, we will. We'll talk more about them next week in the Super Bowl preview. We'll have plenty of time to talk Chiefs. Let's go to the NFC Championship game, Ryan. The 49ers defeated the Lions 34-31. We both picked the Lions. It looked really good for a minute, and then it looked really bad. Were you surprised by the 49ers' 17-point comeback?
Oh, my gosh, yes.
Really?
Yes,
You thought they were done?
Yeah. And I know you were on board with me.
100%.
Because if I could use my phone right now, I could go back and read the messages about how bad Kyle Shanahan is and how much he sucked. Those are your words, not mine.
He is overrated.
I agree. Through that first half, the Lions owned San Francisco. Every which way you could imagine. Any stat you want to throw out, it was the Lions. The run game was excellent. I actually said this last week. I said one thing that the 49ers are not good at is run defense. And it proved to be true throughout the entire game, by the way. What really changed was the way that defensive line stepped up in the second half. That, I think, to me, was the complete transition, the 180 that the 49ers needed, because that put pressure on Goff, and when Goff has pressure on him, he doesn't do well. And by the way, him trying to elude pressure or elude a sack, you might as well have his feet in quicksand.
Right.
So he just can't do it.
I thought he played pretty well most of the night, and we'll get to the quarterbacks. And the difference is the other guy made big plays, and we'll get to that in a second. But I agree with you. The 49ers defense, even though the 49ers offense struggled in the first half, I felt like the story of the game was the 49ers defense. It's like, even though me and you don't think they're as good as some people believe, we're like, they were just letting the Lions move the ball at will. And you know that the Lions did what they needed to do. You get Shanahan off script, you get them down, you get ahead of them, and then they self-destruct. And for a minute there, the 49ers were self-destructing. What changed it? The throw that should have been an interception that Brandon Ayuk dove for, caught, and for the touchdown. Yeah. It was literally a pick. It went through the hands of the defender, and then Ayuk dove out, caught it. It was a touchdown. That gave the 49ers life. Literally, next play, Jahmyr Gibbs fumbles, the 49ers recover, they go downfield and score. Just like that, it's a 14-point swing. And to me, Ryan, it felt like after that moment, we can talk X's and O's, we can talk anything you want. After those two moments, it felt like the life was pulled out of Detroit, and they just didn't believe they would win. Because we talked about them being a team of destiny. Like they believed this was their moment. After those two miracle moments, it felt like they just accepted that they were going to lose the ball game. Did you feel that?
Yeah, you could feel it even through the TV set.
Yeah.
And when that, I don't want to call it lucky play, but it was.
It's not lucky because Ayuk made it, but it was lucky because it should have been a pick.
The bounce was like it bounced off the dude's helmet.
Yes, exactly.
And then Ayuk said he finished the play. You know,
incredible.
In UFC, they talked about, follow through with a punch, right?
Right.
Like the follow through is really what knocks you out.
Yeah.
Or else you're jabbing, right? Ayuk followed through on his punch. He played the play through like you're supposed to do as a receiver. He didn't give up on it. He tracked the ball. He grabbed the ball. And I thought it was a touchdown. Next thing I knew, I looked and it wasn't. I don't know. Remember what the call was there.
He had got touched by the defender like short of the goal line, but then they punched it in. It didn't look like he got touched to me.
Okay, that I was about to say I didn't actually watch the replay. I was dealing with my son at the time, but it didn't look to me like he got touched at all. But
they didn't show us a great angle, but they said his feet got touched.
He still wound up getting the touchdown, right? Did he get the touchdown on that one or the next drive?
I think McCaffrey punched it in on there, but I could be wrong.
Okay, then Ayuk got the touchdown on the...
After the Gibbs fumble.
Yeah, he ran like a flat route or something and got the touchdown. But the defense for the 49ers, like you said, in the second half stepped up. But it was that line, man. That line just looked so scary after halftime. I don't know if they went and ate some Cheerios or whatever they did at halftime. It worked. And they came out and maybe the Lions, we haven't thought about it from this perspective, or at least I haven't. What if the Lions got scared of their lead? What if they got scared of how good they were doing and said they don't know how to keep a lead? And
I definitely think that was part of it. I mean, I think the crazy plays happening and the momentum shifting, they got nervous because they thought they were going to just walk away with it because the 49ers haven't been a team that are able to fight back, especially from a 17-point deficit. And the 49ers, talking about the D-line, as you said, they really shut down Detroit's run game in the second half. And then Detroit did what Shanahan does sometimes. They got away from the run. Shanahan didn't. To his credit, I'll criticize him a lot. To his credit, he stuck with the run game. He made sure he got McCaffrey involved. I think McCaffrey only had like 30 yards in the first half.
But they were important yards.
But they're important, and he stuck with it. He didn't bail. So,
you said, they did shut down the run, which was like 80% of the Lions' offensive powerhouse.
The Lions were getting like 6 yards a carry in the first half. It just at will.
Once they shut that down in the second half, you're right. They pivoted off of it and put it on Goff's shoulders. Like Goff can't carry a team like a Mahomes or an Allen. Right. I know we keep referencing these guys, but there's only 2 or 3 of them in the entire league.
Because in the first half, they didn't get pressure on Goff. They just rushed 4 and they weren't able to blitz and never got pressure. In the second half, they blitzed a little bit more, and they were able to get pressure with 4, and that was the difference. Like you nailed it. That's exactly it. The defensive line stepped up because in the first half they weren't disrupting Goff. In the second half, they were. That gave the offense a chance to make these spectacular plays.
Let's talk about them.
Let's do it because we have been critical of Brock Purdy. I don't even want to say critical. I just feel like we've been honest.
Can we split a little bit of the crow? Because we don't need a whole serving of crow.
No.
We need a little bit. We need like an appetizer de la crow.
Just a few feathers. Few feathers.
Because I still hold true that he is not an elite quarterback.
Agree.
What? What? How'd that happen? No, he is not an elite quarterback. He is an efficient Kyle Shanahan offensive scheme quarterback. And he's good enough to win the NFC Championship, and he could be good enough to win a Super Bowl. Who knows? I don't think so. I think if the Chiefs, you said it earlier, the winner of the AFC is probably the Super Bowl winner. I agree if the Lions didn't make it, and the Lions didn't, so I think the Chiefs will win. That being said, he made plays in the moment when he needed to, and really, he made it more so with his legs than anything.
That's it. He had 3 big scrambles. I mean, that's the story of the game. To me, I actually thought Jared Goff outplayed Purdy most of the game. Yep. Purdy threw a pick. He tried to throw another one. He made a couple boneheaded moves. The difference is on the big third downs, on the big gotta-have-it plays, Brock Purdy fucking made it happen. Jared Goff didn't. So we've been critical about Purdy. I think we've honestly just been honest about him. But I'm also going to be honest and tip my cap when he does this. He helped put that team on his back and got them this win. Those scrambles won them the football game.
Yeah, Purdy didn't actually, I I think Goff probably outplayed him just by the eyeball test, but Goff was 25 of 41, 273, 1 touchdown. Purdy was 20 of 31, 267, 1 for 1 touchdown interception. So not
so
too
the
far
stats
off.
aren't crazy, but the scrambles were the difference, and when they happened.
Yes, but also like just sheer talent, like eyeball test. We know Goff is a more accurate thrower. Like he was dialing in passes in the first half that like I hadn't seen him throw all year.
Maybe and his receivers dropped a bunch of passes in the second half. So Goff's.
And honestly, it's funny because you and I on Sundays, and I think most people who cover the NFL or any sport for that matter, when it's in the season, when it's every team is battling every single week, you can't catch everything. And the way Goff threw some of these passes tonight, I don't remember him throwing them like that earlier in the season. Maybe he was, and maybe I just wasn't so focused in because he was the only guy on TV to watch tonight. Maybe he was throwing them like that. But what he was doing in the first half, how he was slicing and dicing, it was really, really something I haven't seen from Jared Goff.
He was on fire in the first half. By the way, my cat came to say hey.
Hey, that's totally fine. Maybe she's a 49ers fan.
Maybe. She's like, did you say that comeback?
Tip my hat to Brock Purdy. I know we give him grief, and I'll still continue to do that and still stand by my word. Dollars to donuts, he's not an elite quarterback, and he will never be.
No, I agree with you. I agree. And Goff is more talented, but the difference is Brock Purdy made the plays, and I'll just give him a ton of credit because when they needed it, Goff had multiple opportunities, big third downs they had to convert, and he didn't do it. Brock Purdy did. That says a lot. For real, that goes a long way because he had the comeback last week, and then to come back and even though he wasn't as instrumental in the comeback as some players like Ayuk, the fact that he did it and those scrambles, they don't win the game without those Purdy scrambles, Ryan. We have to acknowledge that.
Well, another thing I want to acknowledge, too, is the talent on the Lions team. See, I don't think this is a Lions team that's just going to go to bed and we don't hear from them, and they made a run this year, and that's really all you'll see.
Because their defense wasn't great.
Their defense, so I think they'll work on that. But also, the offense, they have to, I don't know if they move, you can't move on from Goff because who do you get to replace him?
Goff is the guy.
But you have to reposition some things, I think, on the offensive side of the ball. I don't think
Goff lost you the game.
No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying you can't put him in positions where he feels like he has to be the guy to go win the game. Because if that's not your MO, if that's not who you are, you won't ever be able to do it. Like, you can rely on a Josh Allen, a Patrick Mahomes, a Joe Burrow to go out there and win you the game, but somebody like Jared Goff, like, it's just not in his nature to do that. Yeah. So you have to keep true to running the ball. You can't give up on that.
That really, really was kind of the nail in the coffin. After the Gibbs fumble, they got scared of the run, and the 49ers shut it down. So then it puts pressure on Goff, and then you got to throw it 40 times. And as you said, he's not the guy that can do that. Not many guys are. I mean, I don't want Mahomes throwing it 40 times. That's just a bad recipe. I got to ask you a question on this game. The Lions were down 24-27. So San Francisco had come back. San Francisco has the lead by 3 points. The Lions get into field goal range, and they decide to go for it. They don't kick the field goal that would have tied it, made it 27-27. Then at the end of the game, Detroit maybe would have had a touchdown. I know Dan Campbell's been aggressive all year. I know that's his MO. And I'm not killing the guy. I'm genuinely okay with either call. But when it happened, I was talking to a friend. I said, ooh, I would kick it here. Did you disagree with the decision to kick it? Do you think it was egregious? How do you feel about it? I don't mind it, but I think I would have kicked it.
Campbell, I think after the game, even came out and said that he stands by his call to, because I think he did it twice, right? Like he
did it twice, yeah.
Yep.
But the one late is the one that people are going to look back on.
Exactly. I don't necessarily blame him.
I don't either.
Because
it's kind of been his identity.
Well, yeah, that, and that's, again, we're talking about MOs, right? That's just who he is. Yeah. He's going to always risk it and go big or go home. Mm-hmm. And I applaud that. I do think that the outcome may have been different, but I think what he was thinking in that moment was San Francisco's, they're kicking our butts right now in the second half.
Yeah. we need a touchdown. We need a shot of life.
We need more than 3 points.
Yeah.
So,
I agree. I mean, I said, I don't hate it.
I don't hate it. I don't know that I love it, but I'm very neutral on the matter. It doesn't surprise me, right? Like it wouldn't surprise me if Andy Reid went for it, but if somebody came in like, somebody who we don't think should be Kyle Shanahan, if Shanahan went for it like that, and didn't go for the 3, then I would kind of scratch my head because I don't think that's something that Shanahan does often. I think he plays pretty conservative and he wants points anytime he's in the red zone. He doesn't want to walk away from that red zone without points on the board.
I agree, yeah. 100%.
Dan Campbell says, you know what, we're getting 7 or we're getting nothing.
Well, we saw Shanahan go back to the field goal multiple times after Moody missed the first one. So, he still said, no, we're going for 3.
That's my point. But real quick, just last thing I'll say on the Lions.
Go ahead.
Going back to when I said they're not just going to lay down, and this isn't the last you've heard from Dan Campbell and the Lions. The way that they have drafted for this offense, they built the offense up so much that the offense obviously isn't the issue. They're going to fix some of the defensive pieces, and they'll get better, especially the secondary. They need to work on that desperately. But Jahmyr Gibbs, Laporta, these 2 guys are the future of the Lions.
Jameson Williams, he had a touchdown, yeah.
Jameson Williams, David Montgomery, all these guys, but those 2 young freshman guys, I think both of them are freshmen, right? Laporta and Gibbs are both freshmen. You don't call them
freshmen because they're adults, but they're rookies.
Sorry.
Yes, not in college.
Going back to college days here, because I know Gibbs from Alabama, but Laporta and Gibbs, these 2 guys, I mean, they could make a case. Definitely Laporta could make a case for like rookie of the year.
Oh, he's had one of the best rookie tight end seasons we've ever seen.
He's like where Travis Kelce was in like year 3 in the NFL in his first rookie season. Like he's a big reason why the Lions made it to the NFC Championship, man. Look, the Lions did something that I think this is kind of overlooked. I know people talk about it a lot, but they did something incredible this season, man. Like Dan Campbell got them to a destination that seemed like they didn't have a ticket for. And they played really hard today, but I think at the end of the day, I think it was just, they got pushed too far too soon. I just don't think they were ready for that yet.
I agree with you 100%. They have nothing to hang their head about. They won playoff games. They got to the NFC Championship, and they were winning the game. That is something to be proud about.